Yo, what's going on? It's Bill coming back at you with BetSum. I'm here with Dave and Tom.
What's up, guys? Today we're just going to go over a few more daily fantasy plays that we like for Week 7 NFL and go over a few of the games that we like as well, sports betting.
And a few of the games that we hate, honestly, too.
Yeah, and a few of the games that we will refuse to watch.
Right. Rather throw up in my mouth a couple times than watch the games.
It's usually every time the Jets play, personally. But
Nice.
we'll start out with none of us had two biggest sweats this past week. I had one good lineup that had 190 points. It's 230, 240 is the winner. But my lineup got sunk by one.
What was it? One
again.
player?
Yeah, every time it's one player that gets you that goose egg.
Yeah.
It's usually a tight end, a wide receiver 3, defense, whatever.
Doesn't seem it always works. It's just one player. You're one player away from just getting to the top, or big money at least.
Well, that's the importance of putting in multiple lineups.
Yeah, spreading it out.
You can be right on all your core players, but then you got to take a shot on a wide receiver 3, a running back 3, or a tight end. Doesn't pan out, and your lineup's sunk. And you had such a great lineup going.
Yeah.
Had I had more lineups in with those core players and mixed and matched, maybe I had a chance there.
Yeah, and that's one system, but it probably is. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I think the majority of winners are doing that.
Yeah. When we start with stacking, we'll start with Tom because he did a great stack last week, which was
that stack was the one that got me to the near top.
Yeah, what was the stack? It was
Stafford and Megatron last week.
Yep.
At home against the Bears.
Blew up. I mean, those two together. I mean, that was I don't know what 30 points apiece or whatever.
37 and 32.
Yeah.
Calvin had like 5 for 166 and a touchdown, and Stafford had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
And it was only a matter of time, right? I mean,
it really was. I mean, and that was the perfect matchup considering the Bears' struggles and that Cutler was going to come in and really air it out. So I like them again this week because the value's there. I mean, we were talking earlier how Stafford's $3,000 cheaper than Tom Brady. So if you're going to stack him with a receiver, even if it is Megatron again, or personally Golden Tate like I like this week, who's $2,000 cheaper, you got a combo there that could easily go for 300 yards for Stafford, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then Tate I could see getting 120 yards, a touchdown, maybe 6 catches. So I think it'll pay off really good again this week against Minnesota at home.
Yeah. So speaking of this week and some of the plays you like, so you clearly like the stack of Stafford and Tate this week. Maybe Stafford and Megatron, but Tate's just way better value.
Yeah, way better value. I think $7,700 for Megatron, $5,200 for Tate.
And he's gonna be drafted way more Megatron too.
Right. So you can save $2,500 for to add to stack on another position that is gonna help you out. I think a lot, and I think Tate is still gonna perform very well.
What are some other QB wide receiver stacks that you like, or another one that you like?
Well, I mean, when we were doing the lines before, we had noticed that the Arizona Ravens game had a pretty big line and also a pretty decent total, and the Cardinals haven't had any problem moving the ball, where the Ravens have had a ton of trouble stopping anybody.
Yep.
So I like Palmer. I think he's good value. He's at $6,700 right now, which
great
is
value.
$2K less than Brady again, and like right in the middle of Stafford and the top tier quarterback. So I think that's good, and I'm gonna pair him with John Brown. He blew up last game. He had 10 catches, almost 150 yards. The popular play is Fitzgerald because he's the name player that everyone household name. But I think they're both going to do great this week. But for the value, like we're saying, I can buy cheaper with John Brown and still expect a big game, I think.
Well, it almost seems like we're coming to almost like a common theme here, which is really stacking the quarterback with the second wide receiver.
And that is my personal preference. And I'm not saying it's correct, but I like to do that and then take that excess money and add that to a running back. Because I feel like the wide receivers you can find, a lot of value between, $4,500 and $7K.
Yeah.
Whereas you really do have to pay for the running backs to guarantee that, the carries and reception targets.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I was actually, we were just talking, I was talking to Dave here about the same thing for the Jets and how you actually like Brandon Marshall as opposed to Eric Decker.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And leading into it, one of your stacks this week is Fitzgerald. You like to gamble on those low price quarterbacks.
Yep.
I love that this week, especially because they're at the Patriots. I love Decker and Marshall this week because I see Patriots getting up some points.
Yep.
And giving up the middle of the field so the clock can run, and Decker and Marshall should get a ton of garbage points. The reason why I do like Marshall more than Decker is his consistency this year. He's had a ton of points every game. He's just had a great year, but also just because I feel like they're going to give up the middle of the field and they're going to give up 8-yard inbounds receptions in the second half, the Patriots. That's how I see the game going.
Yeah.
And that's where Marshall lives. That's where he's made his career.
I mean, he's strong there, yeah.
He runs up 8 yards, turns around, and gets the ball in triple coverage. And every now and then breaks a tackle and runs for it. And so that I see him having a big game, you know. But I like Decker too, and I love the QBWR2 stack theory. That's a good theory. I like that.
All right, well, let's talk about running backs since we're basically there anyway. There's some guys who are high priced. They're high. Freeman's at what now? I mean, he's a beast every week, and it's really hard to just kind of throw him out of the loop.
7,700.
Is that what he's at?
79 and Bell's at 84, so they're 1-2 for good reason because they're killing it.
They're beasts. I mean, they're honest
you really
beasts.
Can't miss with them.
Yeah, I mean, has Freeman had a bad game at this point? I mean, he's just
no, but his
30s above.
Yeah, he really does. 5.5 or 8.7, 5.5 the past 4 games.
So there you go. I mean, him and Bell are can't misses for that price. You want to include him in a couple lineups.
All right, well, let's talk about the high price guys, who you would pay for, who is just overvalued, you wouldn't pay for, and then maybe let's move down to some of the lower guys, the lower price guys, but still have value. So I mean, high price, who are you picking?
High price, I'm going with Bell.
Bell?
He's going to be my core player this week. I'm paying for him.
Against KC, right?
Yeah, on the road. I mean, he's going to get the carries. He's capable to get 8 catches. He's going to be in that game. So
which normally we don't really do, right? We don't really like to talk about running backs away, but in this case, Bell.
No, you're absolutely right, and I just think I'm betting on his talent, and he just looks like the best running back in the game right now. So
Awesome.
I'm going to pay for it.
Awesome. What are you thinking?
As far as high price guys, I'm not really gonna pay that much for running back this week.
No.
Not really. I'm gonna pick a lot of Gurleys.
Yeah.
A lot of Woodheads. And a lot of Gores. It's pretty gross.
Yeah.
I like Gore too.
They're all home. They're all cheap, and they're all beasts.
Yeah.
Like good players that their teams love. Woodhead might have an extra advantage with Gordon being a bit hobbled, having fumbling issues.
Yeah.
So Woodhead might be a little more. He's at the same price as he always is, but might have a little more upside this week.
Yeah.
And Gore at home in that 52-point total against the Saints.
Yep.
He could have a big game, and he's gonna get you 10. He's never gonna get you 10.
Yeah.
And Gurley is the same thing.
Same way, yeah.
So they're all in the 4 to 5K range.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, because you were talking about Gurley too. I mean, not Gurley. I'm sorry. You're talking about Gore before too. You were pretty high on him.
Yeah, PD told me on it, earlier. It just makes sense, and they're gonna want to feed in the ball. I'm seeing the 100-yard game and 2 touchdowns. Like I think they'll break that spell. I think the Colts haven't had a 100-yard rusher for years, literally. But I think that ends this week.
One thing I also want to point out is that Gurley is I believe where is he on DraftKings? Like 5K? The 10th. He's at 5K, but he's like the 10th ranked 10th highest priced running back this week. Whereas on Yahoo, their daily fantasy site, he's one of the top 3. So he is a lot. If you do have multiple places to play, and you like Gurley this week, don't pick him on Yahoo. Pick him on DraftKings.
Yep. No.
Much better deal. It's just the way it is right now. The sites have different values for different players.
You gotta check out multiple sites. If you're gonna take this shit seriously, you gotta check out multiple sites.
Yeah, and he is the perfect example this week because Yahoo seems a little bit quicker. DraftKings wants to see the guy prove it for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And they'll lower and raise the price. And this is what it seems like to me, at least so far.
Yeah.
And Yahoo is much quicker to be like, nope, this matchup makes sense. Because of the matchup, he's more pricey this week. Their prices fluctuate a lot faster.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I think the only thing I want to touch on with running backs that we haven't already talked about is I like Doug Martin. I think that I know he's away against he's Tampa Bay, so he's away
against Washington.
Away against Washington. Washington's really not that strong. And Doug Martin the last 2 games has had incredible. I think one was 38, the other one was 29 or whatever.
Yeah, they're gonna keep feeding him right now.
Yeah, I mean it's
a rookie QB.
They got a rookie QB. So I don't know. That's probably my own. That's probably my more my taking a risk kind of gamble, but.
But I like it because he's the number 1 running back that gets the volume, especially in a game where both teams are going to try to control that game with the running game.
Right.
But I like
low
it too.
scoring game, right? I mean, it's I
Redskins
don't
are
know.
better against the pass than the run, for sure.
Yep.
And also, before we move on from running backs, Tom mentioned something about Theo Riddick. He isn't in any of my lineups this week, but I might be changing that due to what you said before. He's only 3,400 this week, right?
Yeah,
So he's super cheap, and no one's looking at him.
nobody's looking at him. And from what I'm reading, Stafford loves him. He trusts him. And when you look at the game log, I'm looking into guaranteed points when I'm trying to take my gamble. I don't want my gamble guy to get me 0, a la Torrey Smith or a Darren.
He needs to have some kind of floor.
These guys are the ones that are going to get you 12 points or absolutely nothing. And I can't deal with that when I'm trying to win a game. So I want guys that are definitely going to get points, and that comes in the form of receptions and targets.
Well, you talked about Beasley too, right?
Exactly. So Theo Riddick and Cole Beasley are two guys that are extremely cheap, but they're going to get targets in the passing game. They're going to get. Cole Beasley's had at least 4 catches in every single game, and Riddick here, he's leading the NFL in receptions. You can use that one for a trivia question this weekend.
Unbelievable.
No one will get that.
Unbelievable.
He has 33 catches, and so he's leading the league in catches.
Unbelievable.
So what is that doing? It's gaining trust of Stafford and the whole offense. So he's only going to improve his role with that. So I think for the value of 3,400, beautiful.
Well, now we're talking about value. Let's move on to tight ends. Because I mean, we had a big discussion about that as well. I mean, when you talk about,
I like Watson again this week.
you like Watson, I know you're right. I mean, it's right up there on the site.
If he doesn't get anything, so be it. Theoretically, it's perfect. It's
Had a great game last week.
Yeah, and I don't believe in the whole thing where he won't have a good game this week because of that.
Right.
Like sometimes a player's just playing well, and for all the positions are working well for that game plan and to him. And you see it time and time again with Gates. You see it with Freeman this year.
Yeah.
You see a lot of people where it just works. So keep doing it.
Well, and tight end wise,
the Saints need to do something.
They do need to do something, but you also mentioned that I mean, Breeze likes to throw to tight ends. I mean, that's some of the things that you talked about.
Jimmy Graham was always his highest targeted player when he had him. Mind you, Jimmy Graham is an absolute beast. He should be the highest targeted, but Breeze does tend to throw to the tight end a lot historically.
Yeah.
And the one other thing. Oh yeah, he doesn't really have a favorite wide receiver. So
yeah, he really doesn't. He's built the trust with that.
So Watson should get 4 catches, 5 catches, and for a tight end, that's not great, but it's not bad because tight end is one of those positions that always kills your lineup.
Yeah.
You have 20-point players everywhere, and then that 3-point Tyler Effort week.
Yeah.
Or some bullshit tight end that just they're so hit or miss. Players like Gates, Gronk, Watson.
Yeah.
I would say Bennett. He's on the
fence. Yep.
There's certain tight ends. Clay is kind of almost up there this year.
Oh, so close.
They will get you your 10 and could get 35 kind of weeks.
Well, and Tom Walker, right? I mean, we talked about this before too. How do you feel that on Tennessee right now?
Big time. I like him this week just because Mariota's banged up. So you have Mettenberger starting at home against Atlanta, who just gave up that enormous week to Ben Watson when they were traveling on the road to the Saints. So Atlanta's, weak against a tight end this year that I guess their linebackers can't really handle it. And Delaney Walker has had 8, 10, 8, and 10 targets. So out of the 4 games, he's getting the looks. And now we have Mettenberger taking over from Mariota. So in my mind, that guy's not going to be trying to stretch the field, beating the cornerbacks at the sidelines or airing it deep. He's going to be trying to control the clock with the running game and hit the tight end to move the chains. So I like Delaney Walker, and I also like Ladarius Green from San Diego. I've had him on one of my fantasy teams all year. He delivered without Gates, and even when Gates came back, he's been producing. But I think that if Gates doesn't play because he's having that MCL issue, I mean, who's in line to see those 16 targets that Gates got last week? It's Green.
And Rivers likes Green.
Yep. Likes him, and Rivers aired the ball out 65 times last week. So even if Gates does play, Ladarius is still going to get 4 or 5 catches, red zone target, and for 2,900.
Jesus, 2,900.
It's so cheap.
And no one's going to be picking him with Gates in the mix.
How much is Walker again too? I was just trying to check that out myself.
3,900.
3,900 for Walker.
And so both guys are less than half of Gronk, who's 8,100 the most, and I'm going to be trying something different this week. We had talked earlier about the tight end spot, and I'm going to try to do 2 this week, 1 in the flex, 1 in the tight end spot, just because I feel like there's such red zone targets, big threats for touchdowns.
Stacking the tight ends.
Yeah, doing 2 tight ends
Yep.
when most people only do 1, because I think that they're gonna get more. If you can pinpoint it and figure out the game plans, you might be able to get more touchdowns that way.
Love it.
Well, do you guys have any other thoughts on daily fantasy? Any team defenses that you love or anything like that?
The only, honestly, defenses, they're hit or misses. You know what I mean? Like, we deal with this shit all the time. It's either the defenses and the tight ends are kind of the hardest spots to pick. And I think for defense, who I really like right now, I like St. Louis. If I had to pick one, it would either be St. Louis. Yeah, I mean, it would be St. Louis. I'm looking at the
Seattle
whole
already
thing.
played, but they were a defense that I had in about 15% of my lineups.
Yeah.
They were a good defense.
I mean,
And I like St. Louis for similar reasons, but
yeah, I mean, they're always low scores. Like, if you look at all the scores, from St. Louis since they started the low, they're home, they're tough. The only other defense I would pick, which I don't love, is Atlanta. They're away against Tennessee. Tennessee, you know what I mean? Like, rookie quarterback, right? If he gets in there, he's going to throw some picks. Atlanta's tough. We've seen them score a lot of points on defense at 1 or 2 games. And both times they were away.
Like, I'm a sucker for home defenses. So this week I like St. Louis. That's my favorite defense. I like Miami. I think that if Sue and Wake and their cornerbacks get some gambles right, they could have a big game against Houston at home. And I like Arizona at home against Baltimore. I see Flacco doing a pick 6 or fumble or something. Arizona's got a tough D. It's going to be prime time at home. They're going to be jacked up in Arizona. Somewhat cross-country trip. I see Arizona covering in that game, but I also see their defense possibly having a couple big plays. So.
I like 2 kind of dark horses that a lot of people really might not be talking about in the Redskins and Carolina this week. They're cheap. The Redskins are at home against Tampa, so you got a rookie quarterback traveling on the road.
Another great pick.
They have great pass rush.
Yep.
So they're gonna try to make him beat them that way. But they're just not a great team, so I don't love it, but I think that's a good spot for the Washington D price wise.
Yeah, and Winston's thrown a couple pick 6s this year. He has a tendency to throw it into the sideline, where you don't want it.
Gives up a lot of points. Yeah.
And it's just going to be tough on the road for a rookie. And then the other one is Carolina at home, I'm looking here, against Philadelphia. Philadelphia traveling. You know what? I mean, Philadelphia is all over the place this year.
Yeah.
They're not consistent at all.
Nope.
Nobody knows what they can do. Bradford, Murray, Chip Kelly,
Right.
Matthews.
What the hell is going on?
Who the hell is this team? Like, Carolina's balling out. They just marched into Seattle and beat
They're
the
doing
shit out
it
of them.
quietly.
Yep, quietly, confidently, and their defense was never the problem. It was always whether or not Cam Newton could do it or had enough weapons to do it. But they're home now with momentums. They might beat the shit out of Philadelphia.
And on that, before I forget, because I forgot to mention it in the running backs, was I do like Jonathan Stewart this week too, because he's really cheap.
It's
And
a
if they
home
do
back.
start winning,
Good
they're
spot.
a home back in a good spot.
I love that too.
So, Jonathan Stewart's someone that's cheap that you should gamble on a roster spot or two. He blew up a week or 2 ago in a similar spot, and I think theoretically it's a good week that he could do it again. So.
Yeah, I would agree. So he's thinking about moving on to anything else to cover on daily, or we're all good? Precinct
We're
tab.
gonna DFS.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Let's
about sports
do 3 lineups like we talked about, right? Let's do yeah.
I agree.
All right, Tom. If you had to pick the top 3, so you're gonna do what are you gonna do there?
Tom will do quarterback, receiver. I'll do
What do you want to
running
do?
back. I don't know. Here's what we'll do. Tom will do quarterback, receiver, defense. So that's how we're gonna start it right now.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay.
So we're gonna put this lineup in the $1 Million Maker, or the Millionaire Maker on DraftKings, and we're gonna do Tom does the stack and starts us off, and then we're gonna do the ultimate lineup.
Yeah, we're gonna try combine all of our thoughts and just do the ultimate lineup and take the we'll do 3 lineups like this. We'll just switch it. Maybe another way to do it is just to have Tom take the top 3, you top 3, 3 middle 3, me the bottom 3, and then we switch it again.
Yeah.
Just keep going down.
That's fine.
Does that work?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna take the best of those lineups and we're gonna put one on betsum.com under DraftKings. So if you guys are out there and you want to follow us and watch us win the $1 million, that's the way to do it.
Or put the same lineup in yourself and split the million with us. Watch us hunt you down. No, go ahead. Yeah, Tom, you start out with the first 3. So
All right.
Quarterback, receiver.
All right,
Oh,
well,
you
I'll
want to
stack-
do the stack.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
sorry.
do my stack.
Do the stack.
No secret. I love Stafford and Tate this week, and then I'm gonna go with the Panthers defense at home against Philly.
Awesome.
Okay. That's
As
a
a-
great start.
All right, so just to make sure we
You
got
wanna plug
Stafford.
these in so we can make sure we can afford it.
Yeah, I will. I'll plug them in as we talk about
All
it.
right, so we got Stafford,
Yep.
Golden Tate, and Panthers D. I love it so far.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Gurley. He's my favorite play this week, especially on DraftKings. On Yahoo, I will refuse to draft him. He's way too expensive on
Value's not
Yahoo.
there.
It's just ridiculous, but the value is much there on DraftKings. So I'm
I
gonna pick
can't believe it. Yeah,
him.
really good.
I'm gonna pick Frank Gore as my second, and I don't know. Do we want to do a third running back for the flex, or do you?
That's up to you, man.
I'm trying to think if it's a better week for. I think it's a better week for. Honestly, I usually am running back
Might
heavy.
be a good one for Stewart.
Yeah, exactly. I would go my third one either Stewart or Woodhead, or
Yeah.
Riddick. So
Yeah.
let's go. I'm gonna go with Stewart though.
It feels like the week Riddick's gonna get a touchdown though too, because he's been doing so well.
But we already have Lions in there.
I know. No, I know it. No, you're right.
So I would pick Riddick if Stafford and if we weren't
Right.
we weren't gambling on Stafford and Tate getting the scores. But since
Right.
we're
If we
gambling on
did-
them,
If you do a Palmer John Brown stack like
Right.
I would, then I would definitely get on Riddick. Like
okay. So the third one I'm gonna pick then is Danny Woodhead.
All right, so just to
Well,
let's just
before-
confirm, what was it? What was your first one?
My first one was Gurley.
Gurley?
Second one was Woodhead, and the second one
Early
was
Gore
Gore.
Woodhead.
Gore. So I mean, the three running backs basically. Boom, boom, boom.
So far we got Stafford, Carolina D, Frank Gore, Danny Woodhead, Golden Tate, and Todd Gurley. So far we're pretty light on receivers, so that's where you're gonna come in right now, Bill. What are you thinking?
All right,
Two
well-
receivers and a tight end, and fucking make them good.
All right, I'll try and make it happen. You know what I like here? Again, they're going to be lower because after putting this lineup in, we have a shitload of cash. We have 71.66. So I mean, we could stack it up if we really wanted to. You can't really go wrong with Hopkins. I'm not going to lie. I mean, this guy's a beast.
Yeah, I like him against Miami this week.
So I'm going to throw him in there.
Miami might get up a lot, and he might have another 180-yard game while his team loses by 7.
I like Fitzgerald. I'm not gonna lie. I'd almost who's the other guy? Brown.
Yeah, I like both of them this week.
God, I
It's
mean
not the right
Brown.
matchup.
Yep. And
5,500 left for tight end now.
and we got 5,500 for tight end. So I mean, honestly, I think I'm gonna go with.
Gates is
well,
out.
you know what? Here
Gates is out, by the way.
he's out.
So
No,
Darius
he's
Green-
questionable.
Oh, is it?
Questionable.
Sorry, I thought it was an out.
Yeah.
Well, how about this?
So close.
Someone to consider. Maybe for us, maybe for everybody else, but Travis Kelce might be a good play for KC this week because Macklin is rumored to be questionable, so he might not play. So if Macklin doesn't play, Kelsey's going to be extremely valuable.
Yep.
No, that's a good point.
Good thought.
And then also, I'm just thinking Julius Thomas because I think he's just a good. I mean, Bortles probably is a nice play with Bortles.
Yeah,
No, I like that.
I like a Bortles stack with Thomas or Hearns or Robinson this week too, just like one or two.
And Thomas had 7 for 78 and a touchdown.
Apparently
last
Bortles
week.
throws the ball, so I mean,
yeah,
like
he does
pretty
do that.
decently.
Yeah.
Those two receivers are fucking
Yeah.
stacking it up.
Yeah.
And Thomas only played 2 games. He just came back in week 5, so week 6 he killed it.
No, that's
All
a
right,
great point.
so Bill, who'd you decide on? your
Yeah,
two
so
receivers and tight end?
after all that conversation, I picked Hopkins, Bryant from Pittsburgh,
Steelers, yeah, and
Steelers,
especially
right?
Yeah.
And then I
Great
just
upside.
I just put Gronk for tight end. I just want to be secure, I mean, like
If there's a
It's-
position to be secure at, and
Yeah.
you can afford him, go tight end every friggin'
yeah,
time.
I mean he's gonna put up 18 points every single time
Mark
at
my
least. We
words,
know that's
tight
the
ends
floor.
was-
And he has that ceiling that we talked about, which is 3 touchdowns. Not
Yeah.
many people have that.
Yeah.
I mean, no tight
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah, maybe.
And you know what? Tight ends are going to sink your lineup all the time. So when you can afford to, it's never bad to pay for Gronk.
So Bill, why don't you read down that lineup?
All right, so here we got. This is what we got. We got for quarterback, we got Stafford. For the first running back, we have Frank Gore. The second running back, we have Danny Woodhead. First wide receiver, we have Golden Tate. Second wide receiver, we have DeAndre Hopkins. Third, we have Matavius Bryant. For tight end, we have Gronk. For flex, we have Todd Gurley. And then for defense, we have the Panthers. We got Carolina.
I really love it.
So that's That's the first of 3.
All right. Well.
Or do you just want to move on?
Yeah. Well, no. Let's move on. But while we're talking about the sports picks, we can all decide what we're gonna do with the $1 million that we're gonna win from that lineup. I know what I'm gonna do. But yeah, let's move on to sports betting. We'll get into some more perfect lineups next week. But let's run down the lines and we'll discuss every game and our thoughts. And during that, we can say who we like and who we don't. Because there's not a whole lot of games.
No, there really aren't. All right, well, let's start it off. We got Cleveland, St. Louis, right? St. Louis is minus 6.5, and the over/under is 42. What are we thinking?
I think that's way too many points for Seattle. St. Louis would be favored by.
Yeah.
Based on their offensive inefficiencies.
Well, and that line shifted.
Where did it open? Do you know?
Honestly,
4 or something.
It's 4.
I feel like it was
4.
I think St. Louis beats the shit out of them, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about this game to ever bet it. It doesn't have any indicators for me to bet either, so I really don't know. But if I had to chop my hand off,
right,
whatever, then I would pick the Rams. I think that their defense is going to get a touchdown or 2, and they could win this game 30-6. Like, it could just
absolutely.
So.
Yeah. All right, well, we got Pitt at KC, right, minus 2.5. This line also shifted. I mean, everybody who knows and been watching the lines, originally it was Pitt minus 3, I believe, and now it's KC minus 2.5, which is really Roethlisberger. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I think this is a weird one. I don't really know what to think of this one, to be honest, so...
I stay away? I mean, is that a game that we're staying away from?
I mean,
well,
KC's 1-5.
Yeah, they're 1-5, so the line should be bigger, but they also boast one of the best home field advantages in the game. So that's kind of hidden. But also we were talking about how Macklin might be out. So that, if Macklin's out, I would never bet KC, So given these things, I would definitely take Pitt plus the points.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to be a fan of many of these games. But
yeah.
If I had to pick, I would pick Pitt.
Right.
I think that they're just the better team, and I hate picking away teams, but fuck it.
No.
Stay away.
All right, stay away. Yeah. All right, right. Yeah. All right, Buffalo, Jackson. What are we thinking?
Originally, we liked Jacksonville, both of us, because we guessed the game would be +3, and we found out it was +6.
Well, and we didn't know the game was in London.
Right.
When we were guessing the lines on Monday, we thought the game was in Jacksonville, and it was going to be my immediate pick of the week if it had everything. The public was all over Buffalo. Jacksonville was +5 or something at home.
Is Tyler in or is he out?
Tyrod Taylor is
he still out?
I mean,
still out?
They have his clone,
Yeah.
EJ Manuel, so it doesn't matter.
That's a good point.
Like I honestly like the Jags still in that game.
All right.
I don't love them, but I like them.
All right. So are you staying away from this game if we had to? Or
Bortles is the unheard of,
the unsung hero kind of guy. Yeah.
He's putting up consistent games. The Jags are beating decent teams. They're scoring a lot of points. Like, they're doing something right. I don't know what it is, but I think the Bills are a little too sporadic. I don't know. I'm not sold on the Bills yet.
No.
Agreed.
All right, Buffalo. No, we already just did that.
Not to mention about you know what? I love the Jacksonville because the Bills receiver situation is all fucked up. Percy Harvin's either like.
That's a great point. Watkins is out.
Yeah, Watkins out. Percy Harvin's like MIA. He didn't make the team travel to London. Some rumblings was about an injury. Some was about personal issues. It sounds like again he's just wore out his welcome at a certain team. He's an epitome of hit or miss, where he'll have 15, 20 points or 0.
Right.
So I mean, who are they dealing with now? They got nothing.
It's a good spot to pick Clay.
Yes.
In daily fantasy this week because of the wide receiver issues. They have no choice but to get Clay the ball 12 times this week.
Yeah, because
and he's a playmaker, so it's actually a good spot to pick Clay.
No, you're absolutely right.
Throw him in.
Sammy's out, right? And then also, as far as running backs, like you were talking about, who do they have?
Yeah, I mean, LaShawn McCoy is back and healthy, but I mean, that's it. Like, they don't really have any other weapons besides him and Clay. So I like Jacksonville money line in this spot.
Yeah, I do too. If it were in Jacksonville, it would be the easiest pick ever, in my opinion. But it's in London. I don't know.
So you never know.
Yeah.
Again, probably stay away.
Stay away, but.
All right, Houston.
This week, we talked about it earlier real quick. I just want to mention it. This is a week of a lot of evenly matched teams playing, and then a lot of the slightly better teams being home.
Yeah. I mean, when you're looking at the lines, you see a lot of minus
4-point
threes,
lines.
4s, 3s,
And that's the tough.
3.5.
When the home
Yeah.
team's -4, I don't even bet that game, like, ever.
Yeah.
Because it's just a game where I don't have any indicators.
Yeah.
The indicators are the public or the line moves and this and that. So you're going to see a lot of that this
It'll be
week.
tough. All right, Houston at Miami. We got -4.5.
Yeah.
What are we thinking here? I mean, again, another one of those games. It's just like stay away, or we're like,
It's just, I would stay away from almost every game this week, to be honest.
All right. All right, well, let's do this. Why don't we just run down the games, right, and their lines real quick if nobody knows it, and then let's just pick one or two,
you know? And I guess
The over?
I don't know.
I do too. I love the over.
Yeah, I like the over. I liked Foster when I first saw this, just because, I mean, he's going to get the receptions, and they're going to try to establish a run to begin with. Same with Miami. Miami's whole identity now is going to be defense and running game. That's why I like Lamar Miller on a sneak. But I like both those backs, to be honest. I think it could be 35-30, 35-28 with, a lot of running back play.
No, if you have to, I like the over 44.5, and I do like Miami. I think they are a better team. I think they're still suffering from that first 4 games where they looked atrocious. And I'm not saying that they're good, but they're not as bad as they look. They're not quite that bad.
Right.
They have a lot of fucking talent, and they're home.
Yeah.
Lamar Miller's going to get the dose. I think they win by 14.
That's what it is. And a lot of the conversation that we have, I mean, we have to take in consideration.
DeAndre Hopkins is going to make it a game at the end.
He's going to make it a game at the end. I'm just saying, like, a lot of times we talk about home teams, and I don't know if everybody understands the impact of being home really means. I mean, in your mind, how much does that affect?
The public does not understand at all.
They just don't understand, right? They just see
one of the next games we're getting to, which we'll talk about when there, but absolutely. And I honestly think with a lot of these 4-point lines, this could be the week that the home teams destroy, all of them. Like 70% of the home teams just win by 10 or more, and that's it. This is that week because like PD was saying, all the teams were so evenly matched. So that big difference is what? How about 50,000 screaming fans?
Yeah.
That's the difference,
And we talk about it a lot, and you were asking or alluding to it a bit a second ago. So the reason why we like the home teams a lot in this specific sport, the NFL, is because it's not like other games where, especially college, like you would think that college football, because they have more people, and it has a bigger home field advantage, and there's more emphasis on home field. It's not quite that way though. Yeah. Teams are just more, the talent is more consolidated into certain universities in college. In the NFL, it's teams aren't as bad as the other teams, as much as people think they are in the NFL. So little edges like long travels and hour differentials and one day less of practice and bye weeks and home field advantage and all the shit we normally talk about is lost on the public. They don't get that those little things really matter in this specific sport. Yeah. So I think Tom's right. I honestly we're about to go down and hear us name a lot of home teams.
Yeah. All right. So we got the Jets at New England. It's
I
minus
like the over in that Miami game.
You like right? It's just 44.5, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So we got Jets at New England -8. The over under is 48. Tom, what are you thinking?
I think the Jets defense is too good to be getting 8 points. Ivory's look great. You got Fitzpatrick, who you mentioned before, who's a great game manager, and he's a smart guy out of Harvard, so he's not going to make a lot of mistakes. But then you got Belichick on the other side, who's had, did they come up with bye in New England, or they
No, the week before that though.
Okay, but regardless, I think that he'll have a solid plan to attack Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I love the Patriots in this game. If it were a -7, I wouldn't know what to think. If it were a -6, I'd be like, oh god, the Jets are somehow gonna win this or something. But it's -8.
Yeah.
The thing is that you got a lot. People like the Jets a lot this year. They're 4-1.
Yep.
They're one of those teams that are from New York and they just have a lot of action on them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you could set that line at -8 and still get even action. So I think that that's a good line, and I think Patriots are gonna cover it. And I'm not surprised that the public is split on this one.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm gonna kind of go the total opposite with this. I think this is the game the Jets fucking break New England.
Nice.
Awesome.
I think they do it. I think they're coming off the win. The last game they played, they kicked ass.
They feel good.
And they have the passion. Like you saw, like they look like they're so strong together. Like they give a shit.
And they
care,
have a great
like,
running
Hey,
game.
they have everything to win on the road.
They do.
Great defense, great running game. Like
Yeah.
that's what you need, and a quarterback that doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, I think
This year.
Yeah, I think this is the game that could break New England. So that's why I love picking the Jets in this spot. But again, a really tough pick.
Yeah, you got pissed off Brady at home with Belichick.
Brady to me, I think they're going to cover. Against the spread, the Patriots are going to go like 70-80% this year.
So it's going to be exactly 8, correct?
Yeah, somehow, yeah.
30-22 final.
Good job, Vegas. You've done it again.
They got it exactly right.
Perfect line. All right, Minnesota, Detroit. Plus 1.5. Over under 44.5.
I can't believe that's the line, to be honest. How is that the line? Why is Minnesota favored? Can anybody tell me this? I didn't know that until we saw this.
Well, they're coming off a bye is the only, but that's not enough.
God, that's not enough.
But Detroit's 1-5.
I know, but they. Oh man, I get it, but Detroit played Seattle at home 13-10. Their defense looked good. And then they won last week against Chicago. Maybe I just don't know enough about Minnesota. That's crazy to me. They got Bridgewater, Stephon Diggs, and Peterson, right? What the fuck?
As far as I know.
Mike Wallace, I guess?
Oh, shit.
Bridgewater's good, though. He's,
he's
one of the running quarterbacks that's decent.
I love the over of that game, too. I can't see that being the under.
Yeah, 44.5? Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know what to pick. All
right.
I like Detroit. I like a home team. I'm not gonna lie. So let's go to the next one.
Yeah. All right.
The next one is the BetSum. Well, my pick of the week on BetSum.
Yep.
Is Atlanta at Tennessee.
Yep.
And I know I'm gonna hear 80 or 90% of people cringe when I say that.
Tennessee's what? +6,
Plus
right?
6
Yeah.
against the 5-1 Falcons with a new quarterback. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Next. Now, the reason I like this is because. The line is a home dog +6 and the public's 90% on the away team.
Yeah.
And there's an extra edge on a dome team playing away in a historically tough place to play. So I'm just going on theory, and that's the reason I'm picking this game. If you just gave in a vacuum kind of thing, I would never think Tennessee's going to win this game. Atlanta is clearly the better team.
Yeah.
But in this specific game, for some reason, I believe Tennessee will win outright. They'll just put together a good game. And I think the indicators are the public being 90% on the away team, on a dome team going outside.
Yep.
And the line being a little low. I think that line should be 7 or 8. Just like I said about the Patriots being 8.
Yeah.
It's that's how I feel about this game. If it were 8, I wouldn't even look at the game. But it's 6. And that's one of those lines, those 5.5, 6 point lines on the bad team who's home. The public historically falls on their face on that game.
All right. No, I like the explanation. I love it. This is probably a game that I'm just gonna stay away from. But I do like. If I had to pick, I'd pick in Tennessee. The over under is 47. So I think you're right though. I'm changing my mind. I like Tennessee. You've convinced me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, if they're gonna play in some neutral field, like Atlanta beats them, they're gonna play in Atlanta. But those things when they line up. When 3 or 4 of those things line up, I just take it. But nice. Tom actually mentioned earlier that the under of that game might be even a better bet for a few reasons. And one being Atlanta crushes them 30-7, which could easily happen.
Take out the star players, right?
Yeah, they just beat the living crap out of them because they're that much a better team. Or if Tennessee is going to win outright or put up a game or compete with Atlanta, it's not going to be because they can do it offensively.
Right.
If Vegas and these indicators are correct and Tennessee's going to put up a fight or win, it's going to be a lower scoring game, a 20-13 type game. That's what you were getting at, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So honestly, the pick of the week to me, because I believe Tennessee, the second part.
Yeah.
I like the under of that game a lot.
Nice. Mm-hmm. All right, Tampa Bay at Washington. We got -3.
Exacta, all day.
Exacta.
Great exacta.
All right.
Low scoring game, 2 solid defenses, teams that are going to want to establish a running game. Definitely lines up as a nice 3-point exacta line.
Yeah, so exacta again, if you can find the game at plus 3.5 and minus 2.5 on 2 separate books, take it for the same amount, get 20-1 on your money if it lands on exactly -3. So if Washington wins by exactly 3, you can risk 100 to win 2,000. So that's a good spot for an exacta this week, -3-point line. 15% of NFL games end in the past 10 years at least, end in 3 points. Although, it is worth noting with the 2-point conversion kind of shit going on, or the extra long point after touchdown, extra points. Those 3-point lines might not end as much as they used to.
As they used to, yeah.
Maybe that's.
I know they're really important things.
Maybe that's the reason they did it. I'm
Different
telling you, they
factor.
probably were getting killed by smart money doing that.
You're probably right. And also, it's not a bad spot to take Tampa Bay a money line if maybe it's in a parlay or something, just because the Washington quarterback situation is so unsettled. Kirk Cousins
looked okay.
They haven't. Kirk Cousins hasn't looked good. There's rumblings about maybe even going back to RG3. And just when I hear those kind of things, I look into the locker room and understand that probably Washington doesn't think they can win many games.
Yeah, it's
plain and simple.
Yep.
They just know they're just cashing their check. They're going through the motions.
Yeah.
And then you got a hungry Tampa Bay team that, is still within striking distance. So, not a terrible play, but I'm not endorsing housing a rookie on the road, basically.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so we got New Orleans, against Indiana. I mean, what are we thinking here? We got -4. Indy's -4. The over/under is 52.
I think Breeze is kind of a predictable quarterback with this team because he does have the power to will them to victory at home, but on the road it's just always a different story. They're just always down. They just always don't seem to have enough. We know he's good enough, but I love Indy here. I think they can make a statement this game, and I think they will. I feel like they'll win. And they can't afford to take their pedal off the gas if they do get a lead. Like that's what I think the difference will be. So I can see them winning pretty huge by 3 touchdowns or winning by a field goal. But I like an Indiana blowout here, Indianapolis blowout.
Nice.
Yeah, I do too. And just for the simple reason that I bet a lot on those fringe points. So like, if it's 3, it's tough.
Yeah.
If it's 7, it's tough. But if it's 8, 6, or 4, I feel like you go go against the grain.
Yeah.
So the traditional thinking would be Indianapolis is -4, and they're a pretty even team. The Saints looked good last week. I like betting on teams coming off a big win because I think they have an inflated value usually. So the Saints look a little bit good, and they're like, well, they should cover 3, and we got that extra point.
Yeah.
But that extra point, in my thinking, is a trap. That's the way I think about sports betting. I don't think the odds makers in Vegas are in it just to scrape up VIGs. I think they set the public up a lot. When I see -4s when they should be -3s, I go against the grain.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take Indianapolis here. I don't know where the public is on this game, but that's my thinking.
Hey, no, I agree with the both of you. Honestly, I mean, if I'm going Indy. Oakland, San Diego. We got -4. San Diego's -4.
I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bet
lines.
any of these games. But how many -4 home teams have we seen?
Yeah.
It's just one of those weeks where you got a lot of evenly matched games, but the home team is slightly better. And because they're -4 and not -2.5, I'm taking the home team.
Yep.
If they were -2.5, I might be tempted to take the dog.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm taking Chargers here. I'm not betting it, but if I had to, I'd take Chargers.
I mean, let's just take what we talked about. Just take the home team at this point, right? I mean, when you're that close, why not take the value factor of the home team?
No, I think I like Tom's opinion on I think this is going to be the week of the home team.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tom, you got anything to talk about really on Oakland and San Diego? I mean, it's pretty solid, right? I mean, pretty straightforward.
It should be a great game, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be a great game. I'm thinking about that line.
I'm going my instinct as far as the home teams this week.
Oakland is off a bye, by the way, just to let you know.
Right, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Does anybody know who Oakland's coach is?
I couldn't even tell you.
Me neither.
Yeah.
And we all follow it. Like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But so that comes into play in my mind. Like.
Yeah.
Who the hell is this guy? But I said it before the year started where I saw Oakland's total was 5.5, their win total by Vegas, which I would have always housed the over because that was way too high based on last year.
You'd think it'd be 4.5, 4.
Yeah, 4 or like 3.9. Like they're not. I think 4 would be the cap, but Vegas thought 6 was the cap. So, but I don't think this is their week. I think they get crushed.
I mean. The only devil's advocate point I would give to Oakland is that it's a divisional game, and so divisional games are sometimes a lot closer than they should be, and they're coming off a bye, so they've had a little bit of extra time and rest to prepare. Even with that, I still give San Diego the edge here. And San Diego's just a good team this year.
They got everybody. I mean,
they got no offensive line. That's the only problem. But Rivers doesn't even give a shit. He just doesn't take sacks and throws for 500 yards. So whatever.
Yep.
So let's go Dallas at Giants. Again, historically, never should you bet these games, by the way, because you'll never win in the long run.
Never pick it right.
But if you must, who would you pick?
Dallas. Like I'm going. Like I'm not impressed by the Giants. I think, I'm just not impressed. I think there's going to be a close game. I feel like.
And Castle's starting, yeah.
Yeah, Castle's starting. So I feel like he'll bring the confidence in that Whedon lacked. I know he can find receivers better than Whedon, and I just think that that offensive line will keep them in the game a little bit more. But I just think the line should be bigger, so that's why I'm signing with Dallas.
Yeah, I like that. I'm not sure what to think. It's just a total Castle's playing away but he's got a good O-line.
And Dez is up in the air too. We don't know about that, so that does play difference.
And Dallas has a great offensive line now, so that might keep them in the game. They look decent against New England, by the way.
I mean, they do, but I mean, think about the last game, like the Giants' last game, right? I mean, Philly.
They look terrible.
They were atrocious. Like Manning was just. I mean, come on, dude. Like, come on, give me a break.
Like, Eli is just.
But I like betting on teams coming off a loss.
You're right.
The Giants have no running game, also though.
Yeah.
They have no running game.
Yeah. Jennings. I mean,
and Andre Williams. Like,
if I had to pick that game, fuck man.
It's gonna be so close. It's gonna be 14-13.
Yeah, exactly. I take the under. That's what I take.
Yeah, I take the under too. I definitely would.
Well, I think they're putting Castle in.
Dallas's defense is back. Like they're pretty decent. Like,
and they have a good offensive line. They have one of the best offensive lines in
They
the
have
league.
3 Pro Bowlers, where most teams are.
And I don't know if it was that Whedon sucked or they didn't even give him a chance, but either way, Castle's coming in for the specific reason to do the opposite of Whedon was doing.
Right, he didn't gamble.
So they're going in there being like, we're gonna fucking start playing football again.
Right.
Which is why Castle might be a decent sneak play too. Castle to Williams or Witten maybe.
That's another tough name to stomach is
Terrence
Torrey Smith and Terrence Williams.
Oh, dude,
what bust.
Two bigger busts, and like with the opportunity they've had, they've squandered them.
It's a shame, but getting back to Castle, the only thing is like every team he's been on to play, it just seems like he's progressively gotten worse. And now that he's landing back on Dallas, I hope he does do something. I'm rooting for him.
But he's gone from New England, I think, to Minnesota and now Dallas. So like, it's hard to. And that's the reason I like him, is because he has that mentality of the Patriots organization of winning and like the preparation needed to win. And even Witten is saying that he's approaching this thing with confidence, and like the players I think are buying into.
He's been in that environment.
Yes, of winning.
I think that Dallas is getting the points in a divisional matchup, and you got a similar thing to Miami last week. You got a spark coming in.
Right.
So go with the spark.
Mm-hmm.
This is the extra edge. I would go with Dallas. Again, don't bet that game.
Don't bet that game.
All right, let's move on. Philly, Carolina. What are we thinking? -3. Carolina's -3. The over/under is 45.5.
This is my hidden gem line, like we were saying before. I think the 3 is a gift. I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. I just don't think Philly is there. I don't think they believe in anything right now.
Yeah.
I don't understand that line.
Right, it doesn't make
Carolina
sense.
should be -7.
Right, they're undefeated and they just won in Seattle.
But that's what scares me.
Yeah. Why is that?
Why is it so low?
Yeah.
So I don't bet on away teams on low lines though.
Yeah.
I bet on home teams on them.
Yeah.
Because historically this is a tough. I don't even know.
Yeah, no, I guess it's kind of weird, but I guess I'm taking Carolina. I don't understand why. Now that we're talking about it, like
here's
what
the thing:
hell
is the public still wins 1 out of 3 or more times. Like, so they're gonna win. They're all over Carolina this game.
Yeah.
Is this the game that they win? Probably. Philadelphia has no one. Their whole receiving core's hurt.
Yeah.
Besides Matthews,
And
who just drops balls. All he does is drop the ball.
Yeah.
Bradford misses the mark. DeMarco Murray, he just came on a little bit.
Yeah.
Sproles, I think they have.
But he's away, and they're going to have to obviously establish the.
I'd pick Carolina. I'd go with the public this game.
Yeah.
Carolina. All right, Baltimore, Arizona.
I love
Arizona -8.5, right? The over/under 48.5.
Yeah, I love Arizona. For some reason, I just still think people think Baltimore's somewhat good, and I like Arizona.
I heard somebody talk to me the other day about. I just mentioned Joe Flacco, and they said, "Well, yeah, he's a fantasy killer. I don't think anybody's ever had him in fantasy, and if you do, you're in trouble." And I can totally see why now. And I'm looking at his points. I haven't seen anything too impressive with Joe Flacco yet. Mainly because he doesn't have the wide receivers there. I mean, he's got Steve Smith right now, who's back in, but who's the other guy? Aiken or whatever the heck his name is.
Aiken or like Bernard Perryman.
Yeah.
Aiken or Bernard Perryman. I mean, that's crazy.
So I mean, I don't think he can. If at one point Flacco was really good.
And he has no tight end option.
He's got no tight end. I mean, what is it, Gilmore? I mean,
it used to be there. Now I guess it's Gilmore.
Yeah. So again, I like Arizona, just like you're saying. I'm just
I'll take the points just because it's a little too many, but I don't love it. I'm not betting it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's all the games, but just to, we like a lot of the home teams this week, and especially a lot of the -4 home teams, the -8 home teams. We like the under the Atlanta-Tennessee game a lot. I think we all got behind that one.
Mm-hmm.
I like the over the Miami game. Tom mentioned he did too.
Yeah.
I like Tennessee +6 a lot.
I like Indy -4.
Well, let's do the chop the hand bet.
Indy
Chop the hand
-4.
bet. If you had to pick one right now, chop the hand bet. Right? I mean, who you picking?
Well, I like to look at who the best home quarterbacks are too.
Right.
Like I also whenever I look at like that kind of thing, I like to match up the quarterbacks and just go against take the best quarterback against the weakest quarterback sometimes. Because I mean that is what it comes down to football a lot. I think everything else can be, the coach or the home field or this and that.
Quarterback.
It's a quarterback. That's who controls everything. So what's the biggest disadvantage of quarterback here for home?
I mean, maybe Atlanta,
it's
Tennessee.
definitely Matt Ryan versus Mettenberger,
Yeah.
but Mettenberger's at home.
Yeah.
Well, Patriots and Jets.
Patriots and Jets is Brady versus Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Buffalo and Jack. I mean,
It's definitely that.
It's definitely that one. I mean, there's not even one that comes close to it.
Nope. Yeah, that's it.
It's just Brady versus Fitzpatrick, and the Patriots are playing with, I think New York has the fatal, forever, disease of people bet them too much.
yeah.
New York teams get too much hype.
Yeah, you're right.
So that 8-point line to me, it should be 7, but it's 8, so more people will take the Jets.
Yep.
It's 8 to sucker that public into being like, oh, an extra point, nice.
Yeah.
They should cover by a touchdown. Look at their defense, they're 4-1.
Yeah.
And Brady comes in and just fucking murders them because
Yeah.
he's still pissed about the Deflategate.
Yeah.
They want to go undefeated. He wants to break records.
He just goes at Revis 25 times on purpose.
That'd be awesome. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's like 24 for 25 to Element.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be upset. But so those are the games we like. Those are the DFS plays we like. Is there anything else you guys got?
No,
I think we're about running out of
yeah,
time.
I think we're about running out of time. We've been going on for a while, so.
Well, thanks for joining us, and good luck in your bets and your daily fantasy. And join us next week for the same show, and we'll see you then. Until then, go out there and take some risks.